go in all in like you did and get that many guys to fill holes?
Yeah, I think, it's kind of like I've explained before. I think, we prepare like we always prepare and kind of see what opportunities present themselves. We were hopeful, and we feel really good, really excited about what kind of transpired.
We talked in Indianapolis, and you clearly have kind of a gleam in your eye. You kept saying how I think we can really help ourselves in free agency. We're not used to this around here. It's been a while since you guys have done this sort of thing. Can you take us through the process with these 4 guys? Mm-hmm. When did you identify these 4 guys as guys you wanted? Can you kind of take us from there to where we are now on each of them?
Yeah, so last year, when we first kind of went through free agency meetings, we kind of changed it up a bit, kind of did it more like our draft meetings and set a board, did some different things, and went through the same process this year. And so obviously it's a lot like the draft, obviously just a smaller amount of players, and kind of had some certain targets, certain players we thought could help our team, and just targeted those guys. And then as the 2 days transpired, we felt we got closer and closer. And again, you don't really. It's like the draft in the fact you don't really know how it's going to fall. You don't know where the market's going to go with different players. Sometimes there's guys you have to let go because the numbers get too high. And but these 4 guys were guys that we felt really good about not only as players but as people that they could add to our team. And we're just really fortunate that it kind of came about like it did.
What you're thinking about pushing? You did end up pushing a lot of money into the future to do these deals. What's your feeling about that? What do you think the risk level is there?
I think our roster at the time, this was something we needed to do to help our team. At the same time, we always are looking out how is it going to affect year after year, and I feel really good about where we're situated, how that affects the years to come. So.
Brian, the 2 pass rushers, the 2 Smiths, as you're pursuing these guys, are you just hoping, man, if you can just get one of them, or was the idea all along to try to get both?
Yeah, I don't know if we attacked it like that. Hey, if we can just get one of them, I think it was. I felt like if we could get an edge rusher, that would certainly help our team. So we obviously there's a number of them in this year's free agent class, so. We kind of had them stacked like we did, and we went through it, and we were just kind of fortunate that we were able to get both of them.
Last year in free agency, you were very active, but the guys that you signed were kind of all 29 and older. Mm-hmm. These guys are all 26, 27 years old. So
sure.
Even though you went through the same process, did you go into this free agency with a different mindset in terms of what you were really going after?
Yeah, I don't think it was a different mindset. I think my mindset last year was the same, but I do think that that's an important point, is that we did want guys that we thought that were, that their best football was ahead of them. I think all 4 of these guys probably had their best seasons last year, and I think their best football, they were trending in the right direction. So I do think that's the way we look at it. It doesn't always happen that way, but like I said, I think all 4 of these guys have a really good football ahead of them.
With Zadarius and Preston, how do you see them not only fitting into the defense but also complementing each other?
Yeah, I think in Mike's defense, if you can have guys on either side that are interchangeable, that can do a variety of things and be versatile, it really makes it tough for the opponent. And both these guys can do that. I'm sure you guys have studied Zadarius. He certainly can line up outside and rush with speed and power on the outside, but he's also done a lot of 3-tech work. Preston is exceptional athlete that can do a lot of different things on the edge and inside as well. So I think it's shaping up, and we'll see how it goes and see how Mike wants to use these guys. But I think the versatility is there to really help us along the front all the way, so.
Brian, could you tell if there was a buzz around here after you did that, after you signed the 4 people, and is that a byproduct? Is that something that is important to even show your own people that you're? Yeah,
I hope so. To be honest, we were kind of locked in that room, because there's obviously these were the 4 that we signed, but there was so much going on during that period of time, still is. So we're kind of locked in there. I think we're kind of shielded from some of what's of that. We certainly were excited inside that room, a lot of late nights. But I think so. I think it's helpful. But at the end of the day, it's what you do on the field. There's a lot of hope right now, and we're really excited about adding these guys to our team. We think it makes us better. But we got a long way to go before we get to training camp and beyond. But we're excited right now.
Brian, how important is the locker room chemistry, I guess, when you're making these decisions?
It's important. I mean, I think the quality of the human being that we're bringing into the locker room is important. What they add to our locker room. it's no different than the draft prospects that we're grinding on right now. I mean, you do your homework, you talk to people you know, how they fit in the locker rooms they were at before. So it's very important.
You have enough time to do that? I mean, when you have a draft, when you're looking at those guys,
Sure.
imagine you have longer careers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different. Obviously, we have a lot of background information on these players coming out of college, but things do change, and obviously, all of our scouting staff did a heck of a job, kind of like with the information that we gathered on these players, so we can make the best decision for the Packers.
How about health history? Is that important?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Health history?
Yeah, I think, that's another, piece of the puzzle, part of the decision-making process that we go through, but that's important.
Every conversation comes back to Aaron Rodgers, but is this aggressive approach, is it kind of a nod to the fact that you only have a limited window with him and it's time to not rebuild slowly, but kind of get better ASAP,
No, I don't think so. I think obviously, this is Green Bay, Wisconsin. We're in a win now mode all the time. I thought we needed to add to our defense significantly, and I think these guys will. I don't think that's any different than it ever has been.
You mentioned you felt you had to help your defense significantly. What does this do for you going into the draft now in terms of taking pressure off? I know you always say best player available, but
Sure.
the odds were, you had to get some help on that side of the ball. Does this take the pressure off where you truly now can just find impact guys at any position?
Yeah, I don't know if it takes the pressure off. I think, maybe it gives us a little bit more freedom to move around. We always, this goes back, a long time. Our process has always been take the best player available if we can, and that won't really change. I do feel better about the strength of our team going into the draft, but I don't know if it really changes a whole lot of how we'll approach it.
What about Adrian was appealing, I guess, to get him on the back end there?
Sure. He's a young ascending player. He has, great physical traits. He's an explosive athlete, very good tackler. I thought he could play, in the box, near the line of scrimmage. I thought you could move him around, blitz him, do some different things with him. He can play the post as well. I thought, in his career, I thought you saw as he grew and his instincts grew, he became more and more of a playmaker. And just, again, someone we kind of like coming out of college, watched him grow, think his best football is ahead of him, and we're excited to add him.
Do you view Billy Turner as your starting right guard coming in?
Man, we're a long way before we're designating starters and stuff. We're really high on him. Obviously, we brought him here for a reason. We think he's going to compete. He's so versatile. I think he can play all four spots besides center. It's about the only one I think he hasn't played in his time. He played right guard and right tackle last year. I think he's capable of playing either.
So just taking a step back, what is, with how your line is constructed now, what do you view as his best fit?
Again, I think he can play either. He's certainly a good enough athlete and has a length to play tackle. But he's played guard, and I think in Matt's, some of the different things Matt might do scheme-wise, he fits better. He can play guard as well, or maybe in some other schemes he wouldn't be quite as suited to that. But the athleticism he asks of our guards to get out on the edge and in space and make blocks that way, Billy certainly can do that.
Brian, how much did you rely on Milt and his history with Zadarius?
Mm-hmm.
And then even on the coaching staff, you had, Kirk
Sure.
and Washington.
Yeah, those are, again, kind of talking back to the information gathering, that was obviously, that was kind of a bonus having those guys in-house, knowing those guys so well. Zadarius has been a guy we liked in the draft. Quite frankly, over the, there's a couple times we had a chance to acquire him. We thought we might. So he's a guy we've had an eye on for a while. But yeah, I think, having those guys who have worked with those players before and kind of knowing their character, their work ethic, those things, that definitely helped.
Any limitations for you from Mark or financially, other than your own good judgment on what, was a good, fair price?
Yeah. No, none at all. I think obviously the cap itself is restrictive in some ways, but no, I think Russ did a great job in the negotiation phases of acquiring these players as we went through it. But no, I think Mark was really excited to see who we signed, and I think everybody's really excited. Kind of the buzz comment before. I think it's a good day, and we got a lot of work to do, and there's a long way to go, but we're excited about what we did today.
So, did you guys talk about Zadarius in the draft room in 15, and then can you maybe give us a little more on your efforts to, clearly you've liked him for a long time,
Yeah.
and now you finally got him.
Yeah, back when he was coming out, I mean, I just know that the group as a whole, Ted, we liked his skill set, liked what he could do. Thought he was really versatile. Kind of the player he's become is what I think we saw. That defense in Baltimore, they had a lot of good players that have been very, very good over the past few years. So he was stuck behind some really, really good players. And, I'm not going to go into the details, but like I said, there was times we thought it might be a possibility. It didn't happen. Glad we got him today.
Brian, is this, I mean, you've seen other teams spend year after year after year after year. Some people, if you look at it, it's an indictment of drafts that didn't work out in the previous 3-4 years. Is this a sustainable way to go about business in the NFL?
Yeah, I think that every year your team's in kind of a different situation, and I think you have to be honest with yourself. And I think this year our team was in a situation where I thought this was the right thing to do for our team moving forward. Won't always be, but it'll be year to year, and what we need to do to win. And so I don't, obviously you can't kick the can down the road forever, but at the same time, I don't think we really did that here. I think if you really look at it, we didn't really jeopardize anything in the future.
You end up spending a lot of money on, they're all good players, but just, accolades-wise, stats-wise, you didn't get any great players. Is there a bit of a roll in the dice here that you're spending a lot of money on guys who haven't been?
Yeah, I disagree with your comment. I think, there's some really great players in this group. We'll see if they become great Packers and they produce for us. That always will be, we'll find out. But we're excited to have them. We needed to get better on our edges. We needed some help at safety, and really, glad to add Billy Turner where we added him. So we'll see how they fit into the group. But it's, this is about a team, right? And it's about wins and losses, and I think these guys will help us win.
Brian, you mentioned wanting to, being stronger going into the draft now than you were a week ago. How much work do you feel like you still have to do to get this roster to where you want it to be, and how might you prioritize? What are the priorities for you going forward?
Yeah, well, obviously it's 365. You're always trying to get better and improve the roster. We obviously, for agency, there's still guys out there we're kind of peeking at and seeing what could help us. And obviously the draft, which is really the foundational piece of how we build our team. We have some pretty good resources going into that, and we're excited about the draft class this year. So, we'll get through that period of time, take a little bit of a breather, and then head into the training camp, and we're continuing to look to always improve the back end of the roster if we can. So it's kind of never ending. I don't know if you ever really feel, hey, wow, it's just exactly how you want it. You're always looking, because things change, and as things change, you have to adjust and you have to adapt. So, but we're excited. We're excited to improve the team, and we're excited about what's coming up with the draft and see where it goes.
You managed to add these, I think you called them young ascending players. I think that's what Bill did that day. I haven't put huge numbers up yet. But the way you structured it, you did leave yourself money to still spend now. Is this when you look at that first wave, which Ted often sat out, there are some times where he got some pretty good bargains.
Absolutely.
How do you view this next phase, both with maybe some of your own guys like Clay and,
Sure.
and Randall, and maybe some bargains that could be out?
Right, yeah, no, I think as you go through it, you're constantly monitoring where everything's at, and then if it makes sense for us, then we go forward. And so we're in that phase, and we'll continue to be in that phase going forward. There's guys that will get, as these other guys sign, there'll be guys that get let go. That's a really good market to be in as well. So yeah, I mean, it's. I think the one thing that our personnel staff's done a really good job of is always kind of touching base and knowing where things are at. So, because things do happen quickly, and we have to be ready to go when that happens. So, yeah, that's part of it, and that'll continue really all the way up to training camp and beyond. So.
Can you see a role for Clay on this team still?
I think Clay's a great player, and he can play for any team in this league. So if that comes, I mean, he'll help somebody if it's not us.